Hello and welcome to Annie G Studio. For those of you who don't know me, I have I'm from San Diego and I have a website, anniegstudio.com, where I sell paper crafting products. So whether you're a mixed media, scrapbooker, stamper, I have all sorts of supplies. And today I want to show you a few things that I made, some tags that I made. Right now on my website, my product spotlight is tags and embossing folders. And if you've never been to my website before, my product spotlight items are 20% off. My regular items are all 10% off every day. I was playing around with some tags and I just had a blast. So this is just a tag that I die cut out of some really thin paper, and I used a 3D embossing folder on it. And it's, I believe, this embossing folder. And I just love the effect. I don't know how well this is going to show up. This is the back side, this is the front. But what I wanted to do is to color them and to play around with them. And if you're not much into tags, you could do this just on a regular card front. You could do it pretty much on anything. One recommendation though is that when I first started, I was using some pretty thick cardstock. And the thicker the cardstock, you may not be able to see it very well in there, but the embossing isn't super deep. I don't know if I have a better one to show you. Here is something that, here you go, this might show up better. This is a thinner piece of paper, and look how deep that embossing is versus something kind of shallow like this. So if you're using cardstock, go for like the 65 pound or the 80 pound. The 110 is too heavy. Watercolor cardstock is too heavy. Again, you can kind of see I have the image, but it's just not very well embossed. So these are some tags I've been playing around, having just a blast. This one, I think, another thing I did is I colored my tags after I embossed them on some of them, and probably not the best idea because it smushes down your embossing. If you can get it back in the embossing folder in the same place, you could run it back through and kind of pop up the embossing again. But there's just a lot of different ways to do it. My recommendation is to color a background first and then emboss it. And then I highlighted with some gilding wax. I used my Stamperia gilding wax just on the raised parts. And you can see the debossed side here, hopefully. But this is one where I went and used you can see, I don't know if it's going to show up on the video, but I used a thinner cardstock and I got a much better impression on here. And I believe what I did is I used Color Burst pigment powders, and I sprayed them, spritzed them, and I got the background color the way I wanted it. And then I did just, I don't know if you guys can see this, a little bit of stamping in the background as well. And then once it was fully dry, then I embossed it and finished it with the gilding wax. I believe Hero Arts has some Hero Wax. Prima has some. The Sizzix also, I don't know if they still have them anymore, but they had Luster Wax. A lot of neat things. You just put a little bit goes a long way, and just very light touch over the top, and it just makes things pop. Now for this one, I just had a white card and I used some ink and a sponge dauber just to color, because I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. I wanted the coffee rings to stand out separate from the background. So I decided to color this one afterwards. I think had I colored it first, maybe just the background and then come in with the coffee rings, maybe it'll look a little better, but again, play. What I do when I sit down is I just start playing. I die cut a bunch of tags and grab some inks. I grabbed my Color Burst. I was playing with all sorts of different things. Whatever you have, play with it and see what happens. So this one is kind of neat. My friend and I have been making a lot of sealing wax seals lately, so I inked this one up. I actually inked it after I embossed it, but I went and added some highlights and then just put some die cuts on top. And I think I want to make a little book out of my tags. I haven't quite figured out yet what I'm going to do. And here you can see some die cuts that I put on top after I inked it up. But you still have the subtleness of the, you still can see the brick wall behind it. but it's not overbearing. You can see the focal points as well. Some of the ones I did. Okay. This one, it's really fun. I didn't lay it very flat when it dried, but this one I just, rubbed some inks on my palette, spritzed, and dragged it through, Tim Holtz style, if you will, just to get some background color. This one I used Color Burst. And judging by the embossing, I'm not sure. I may have done the Color Burst after I embossed it. One thing you can do, and it's a little tricky, but if you do like I do, and like I did, and you colored it and you've kind of smushed the embossing down a little bit, you can usually reline stuff up. If you're really careful, you can find out where it was, and I think this one of, here you go. It's a little tricky, but you can get it right back where it was and run it through again, and it'll pop it back up again. Takes some getting used to. It's fun. Like I said, I was just playing around. So here's the same embossing folder, just with 2 different backgrounds, and I haven't done anything to these tags yet. They're a work in progress. And just to show you, for those of you who've never seen a 3D embossing folder, this is a regular embossing folder. That's about the width of them. This is a 3D embossing folder. So you can see how the grooves, they're not super deep, but it's enough that it'll give you the pattern on your paper. These are amazing though, because look how deep that will go. And what's neat about these is some people will rub color on this part, not just on the raised area, not into the pattern, and it'll give you your background color, and your raised pattern will not have that color on it. I tried the other way around. You want to make something look like letterpress. For those of you who have been playing around with letterpresses, all the rage right now, I inked up the raised portion. So I'm basically inking up the back side of the embossing folder, trying not to get any in the background, and ran it through, and it became like a letterpress. This is a different folder, but this is actually the back side after running it through, but it was my front for the technique I was trying to do. I don't really like the colors I chose. I don't know what I was thinking, but I just made a background, random background, and then I grabbed, I used a Distress Oxide, and it worked very well on here because the pad is firm enough that you're not going to squish it like a lot of pigment inks. The pads are really soft, and you're going to get ink all in the back. You don't want to do that. So I love the Distress Oxides. What other VersaFine would probably work really well. There's a lot of inks you can do. I just like having either a hybrid or a pigment ink because it just seems to work really nicely. But then I flipped it over, and I actually like the regular side better. This is the true embossing side. Like if you just embossed this, I don't know if it's showing up very well. I don't know if you can see, like the flowers are all raised. And then I hit it with some of that gilding wax on top just to highlight it. So same embossing folder, same tag, different colors, different technique. So like I said, play. If half of them end up in the garbage, that's okay. It's just cardstock. That's why it's better to use the thinner, cheaper white cardstock, because if you have to throw it away, it's not going to break your bank. And you'll be surprised what you come up with, because I was so surprised when I did this. It turned out so nice. Okay, here's another one. This is just scrapbook paper. All I did was, my dad got the tag first. I ran it through, and I put some of the gilding wax on there. And you could use a dauber and just use ink. I just happen to love my gilding waxes. I love them. Here's another one. I use the same embossing folder, but it's a thicker cardstock, so it's not quite as deep, but I went over it with some more ink to kind of make it stick out. But I wanted a semi-monochrome, monochrome color. So here's something else you could do with it. And tags are fun because if you're a card maker, you can just put the tag in the front of your card and it's good. Or you could send someone a tag on a present. They have a lot of really neat, fun uses. Now here's one I did. I did not use embossing powder, embossing folders on the next ones. But here are some fun tags that I did. I just used different colors, and I think this was a resist ink. And I put some stickers down. Just have fun. Play with what you have. Here's another one I did. Like I said, I think these might make little books. What I'm going to do with them, I'm not sure yet. But so this might just be, I think that's clear embossing powder on this one. And I just had the white tag. I put the clear embossing powder down randomly, heated it, and it's either that or the distress spray. I can't remember which one I used on that. And I just played with a bunch of different things. And here's another one. And here's one, last one. So if you don't want to emboss, you can still play with tags and have a lot of fun with them. I don't have a lot of tag dies left on my site, but I do have some actual tags that you can purchase. And I know I have a ton of embossing folders, not sure about the 3D ones. It changes all the time. But I hope you enjoyed. This is just a look at some fun things I did while I was just playing around. And again, you can add this to a card front. You can put it on a present and write a note on the back. I'm going to make a book out of some of these, like I said before. So have fun. And my recommendation is always to not be intimidated. Just sit down and play. And if something's ugly and you don't like it, usually if you keep going, you can make it better. And if not, circular file. And start all over again and just enjoy the process. Again, AnnieGstudio.com. Take a look. My product spotlight. Again, my embossing folders and my tags are 20% off right now. It is August 2025. And enjoy. I will be, then my next video will be about some books that I've been making. Really, really fun. Just little like envelope books and accordion books and things like that. I love mixed media, and I like to incorporate it into card making as well. Kind of bridge the gap between the two worlds, because sometimes they're separate. But stay tuned for more. Thank you. Please share my channel with your friends. I hope you enjoyed. Have a great day.